Good grief, this candy's terrible.
Welcome to the Simpsons episode EABF 21, the Treehouse of Horror 14, originally aired November 2nd, 2003. I'm Al Jean.
Mike Anderson.
Matt Selman.
Matt Warburton.
Steve Moore.
David Silverman.
Ian Axe-Throwing-Graham.
Scary.
Psycho Price.
Tomb Gammill.
And Axe Pross.
And just a couple comments on these. This was an episode that marked the return of us doing Halloween names. The theory was that we'd have these credits that would go on so long, and especially if there were like 3 names on one credit, it would be these big gooey smears where you could not see the picture. But after a couple of years, we actually had read that people missed them and thought that, they were something that we should keep doing, so we brought them back.
Yeah, before I worked here, as a fan, just watching the show, I always loved the names, the Halloween names.
My kids love them. They're never stupid enough or long enough.
And it's been mentioned before, but they were a throwback to EC Comics, where they used to name their writers, Oozing Joe Orlando, Freakish Al Feldstein. The other thing that we seem to get an inordinate amount of fun about is the Halloween show airing November 2nd. The reason that this occurred was Fox got baseball, and then the World Series would end, right at the end of October, so they would postpone our show till November so that it wouldn't be preempted by the World Series. And actually, although we would mock it a lot, it really did pretty well for our ratings because it would come after Daylight Savings ended, and they could promote it a lot during the World Series. So as much as we would mock it, it's okay.
And there was no competition from other Halloween shows.
Yeah.
No. Yeah.
I like
go ahead.
No, actually, I like how fast the story starts in this one. Just open the door, death, we're in.
Yeah.
Now, somebody told me years
these.
later that there is a Family Guy that has a similar premise, and if there is, I apologize. It was aired earlier. I had never seen that when we wrote this episode. This is what it is it's a little bit like the movie The Santa Claus, where Tim Allen kills Santa, and that was how it was pitched. But as far as we knew, this was sort of an original cartoon idea, if there is such a thing.
And we'd never seen anyone running around in fast motion to the tune Yakety Sax either.
Yes, I'd never seen Benny Hill. I just thought that would be a funny song to put with comedy running.
Brilliant.
And we never saw any gangster movies.
That's right.
Now, Steve Moore, you directed this, right?
I did. This is my second one, and tip here, I'm doing my third one for season 23 right now.
And by third one, you mean third Treehouse of
Halloween
Horror.
show. Yeah. Third Treehouse of Horror.
Are these, I think you guys would all agree, all of you directed Halloween shows, like much harder than the average episode?
Well, yeah, because they're all great, so you have to do one at least as
thank
great.
you.
You're welcome.
I guess that's
diplomatic.
Road answer.
And you know what? I think you're great. You're all great. Thanks.
I owe you a Coke.
No, this is the kind of commentary people love. Go ahead.
Yeah, you want to be as
Great
good, if
jokes,
not
guys.
better, than the ones that preceded you, if possible.
Well, also like the trilogy, there are 3 different stories, 3 different sets of designs, and so it's a little bit like doing 3 shows at once.
Do you get more staff, or do you get the same amount of staff?
No, we get less time,
We get
less
less.
staff.
Well, but you get the,
To make it
the
scary.
holdover aspect. Doesn't that help?
What's that?
It does now,
Yeah.
but they weren't always holdovers,
No.
I think.
No, originally we would read it like second. Well, the whole idea of a holdover was like, it came in the middle of the series. That, originally we were just trying to play catch up, but now the Halloween show is usually read a year before.
Yeah. Yeah, the one I'm doing now will air in about a year, actually.
And he's still just going to eke it out at the last minute.
Yeah, I know. I'll still be late with it.
And this is written by John Schwartzwelder, our old friend.
Old Triple Admiral?
Triple
That's
Admiral.
Triple Admiral John Schwartzwelder.
I like the little wave. That's very nice. Nice touch.
Well,
There also, I
love
tend
this
to feel
part
like
right
we
here.
rewrite the show more in animatic when it's Halloween.
Where's that free sandwich?
We always
you
give
were-
Halloween extra special care because we know
Yes.
it's one of people's favorite episodes of the year. And I just think we really never relax it.
It's this lucky thing where you kind of get your premiere, and then that gets a lot of attention, and then our Halloween show comes after the premiere and also gets a lot of notice. So you really get sort of like a double dose of publicity, because we love publicity.
The fans I always talk to always say, when are they going to put all the Halloween shows in one DVD?
I don't know if I ever said this on a commentary. They used to say, you should do an Itchy and Scratchy show, a real, half-hour series. And Matt once put all the ones to that date together on one reel and played it. And he said after about 3 minutes, people were just enough. After 10 minutes, they were like walking out. So it would really not be a great, This I thought was beautifully composed and rendered.
There's a hilarious joke coming up I love where I think God's hand has to wait for the train to go by.
Oh, yeah.
I forget who came up with the idea for this mislead, but it's a really funny twist.
Yeah.
God is an idiot.
God exists. And he is dumb.
That's great.
That's really great.
And he gets the wrong sister.
This is great. I love this so much.
That's one of those things. It seems like it's from an action movie, but I can't say which one.
Yeah.
That's great.
I'm too old for this.
There's an extra pork chop.
I'm gonna not kill you every week.
Do you guys just think up stuff sometimes because you know it'll be hard to animate?
All the time.
No, the opposite.
Their first priority.
The truth is, we don't care at all about you guys. and what we do is we write things without thinking at all, and then someone, often Matt, or more recently me, would go like, "No, wait, this is hard to do. We should think about, just reduce 2,000 people to 1,999." Actually, David, you're always a really good advocate. For other directors, I remember you would say like, "You're going to kill Rich Moore."
Yeah, it's pretty good back and forth. Usually we'll mention something like that and then say, okay, and then just make it harder. So,
but you said it was okay to kill Steve Moore.
Well, it's funny
I was
because
deaf to that.
I have never met the director who says I can't do it. It's always some other director might go, "Look, you're making it really hard," but you guys are just the best at going, "No, whatever you say, we're going to make it work." I've never heard no.
Well, it all starts on the page, my friend.
Now, this was an idea of was
Hank's.
this Hank's idea, right?
Yeah. Well, Professor Frank, obviously, Hank based on Jerry Lewis in The Nutty Professor, there's no question. So he said it would be a real thrill for him if he could do an episode where he had Frank's father played by Jerry Lewis. And, Jerry Lewis is, I've heard, not the easiest person to deal with. So we sent it to him, and I thought, he might just be totally offended. And we were thrilled, completely thrilled that he said yes. So we got to fly to Vegas, where he wanted to record it. That's where he lives. And just a few stories about it. He was exactly what you would dream Jerry Lewis would be. He came into the room. He went up to my wife, and he goes, "If I say that you had a beautiful body, would you hold it again?" And then he talked to Jim. He's a big fan of Jim's and of Hank's. Talked about Hank's role in the Birdcage. Then talked about Dean Martin, all this really cool anecdotes. Then I got to direct him, and there was a thing where he says the word radiator, but he said radiator, which I later found out is an accepted pronunciation. And I just was like, "Mr. Lewis, could you say radiator?" Feeling like one of those directors of William Shatner. And he goes, "There's a point when the kid vanishes and the idiot comes out." And I was like, "Oh no!"
Wow.
And then he said it the way I wanted, and. I should also say, because he was really great and it was a really funny performance, he told us, because he had taken so many pratfalls, he actually had like an electric system in his spine that like helped him not feel the pain of all the spinal injuries he had suffered. So considering that, I go, wow, what an amazing guy. It's so funny, so like, just still doing physical bits. I mean, I was really, really impressed, is what I would say.
What do you
Mike,
say
were
about
there
Dean Martin?
What?
What did he say about Dean Martin?
Well, he was talking about writing the book that I think was called Dean and Me. They came out subsequently, and he said something like, he goes, "I just wanted to write about the story of Dean," and it was 1,000 pages before I even got started. And Dean had already passed away. I'm pretty sure. He said just how much he missed him. You know how I think this is in the book that they used to play the same venues. This is when they had reconciled, and that they would leave notes in the dressing room. Dean would write a note and leave it for Jerry, and vice versa. I mean, the book I really recommend. It's really fascinating, and it says that I think that the real breakthrough that they had was when I don't know if I'm helping with this commentary. when Dean's son passed away and Jerry went to the funeral, he didn't tell Dean, but he just went and didn't make a deal of it, and then Dean was really moved by it. Back to this zombie.
Look at these guys. He's got jailbird cigarettes in this thing there, too.
This is Snake and Sideshow Mel and Mo.
And Mr. Burns' arm, too.
Yeah.
Right.
And Comic Book Guy's butt.
What's that pink patch?
Still fly to Stockholm.
Well, it's better be first class. Comic book guy's ass won't fit in coach.
You may keep my posterior.
Now, also in this episode, we have this really sexy character, Dudley Hirschbach. I've always been attracted to. And with this woman, Jennifer Garner. I don't know who she is. But we were looking for an actual Nobel Prize winner. Matt, did you recommend him?
Yeah, he was just sort of this fun guy that everybody sort of loved at Harvard, and he many years ago won a Nobel Prize in chemistry, and he was really excited. Neither Jennifer Garner nor he knew who each other was. But
and they weren't in the same room at the same time.
No, I don't think so. And he did tell me later afterwards that wherever he goes in the world, this is always the first thing they ask about. At any science conference or anything.
Was there chemistry between them?
I'm here to accept the Nobel Prize for stupid.
He did a great job.
Yeah,
he really
his reading
did.
is fantastic.
You know, he knew how to be Jerry Lewis. Mike? Did you remember anything else from? You were there.
Yeah, I just remember just being starstruck. How wonderful he was. I think his daughter was there too, right? He has a.
I think his wife and his daughter.
wife and his like 13-year-old daughter.
Yeah,
they were big fans of the show.
So they were Danielle.
Yeah, I was just thrilled to meet him.
Yeah, and he must have been about 78 then when we met him.
Yeah.
Nice animation there.
See, that's what's great about the Halloween shows.
Yeah.
So I hope people are indulgent of our desire to meet Jerry Lewis. It's turned into an episode because it seems pretty gross. I think it's Halloweeny.
Did he improvise the line "dripping with knowledge heads"?
I don't know.
I think it was in the script. Well, I mean, but it's him. So it's like, even if he didn't, it's like it's just taking his stick. So
That was David who just fell there.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I knew I wasn't feeling so good that year.
3 years old. Pressure points here and here. Room temperature is 22 degrees Celsius.
I think, does Dudley Hirschbach remain the only Nobel laureate we've had on the show?
No, we had Muhammad Yunus. I got the
Nobel Peace Prize.
for microfinance.
Was Jerry a fan of the show? Was Jerry a fan of the show? Jerry Lewis?
He had, like we said, we sent him the tapes from Frink, but mostly he just talked about how much he liked Jim's movies and Hank as an actor.
So he didn't watch them.
He probably. I mean,
his name is bandied about at Nobel time.
that is true.
For physics.
Yeah, for a long time people were like, and then they would go
comedy.
like, "Oh, can you believe Jerry Lewis might win?" And now I'm like, why shouldn't he win? Like Bob Geldof won. I mean, it's a similar thing.
He was really missed at the MDA telethon this year.
Yeah.
It was not the same.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah, that was a mystery.
Oh, I've waited so long to hear you say that. What does it mean? Is it dirty?
Now this segment is the thing I know that it's based on is a Family Guy. No, it's a it's a Twilight Zone episode
Right.
where a guy's stopwatch breaks or wristwatch breaks and everybody freezes. and we really pretty much did the same. Look at it with Bart.
This gave birth to a thing in the writer's room where if someone comes up with a ridiculously stupid idea, we shout clock stoppers and hit the table. That means that is now your idea to do what you want with it.
Oh, that was a movie too, right?
There was a teen movie that came out around this time too called Clock Stoppers.
Directed by Jonathan Frakes.
Oh.
And
Star
kids,
Trek
if you want to read a really dirty version of this kind of story, read the Fermata.
Nicholson Baker book, yeah.
Right. You could do dirty stuff in the Frozen world.
It's all the stuff you would do.
This is much easier to animate because people. This is very easy to animate.
Yeah, what?
This part. Very easy.
This is just a week of super you guys.
Okay, I gotta go. Goodbye, everybody.
The animators really like these scenes.
The most fantastical thing about this segment is they don't do anything dirty.
Too young.
That's science fiction.
It was an innocent age, 2003.
Yes.
And it was only 49 cents that watch.
The other thing I can't remember was he had the Pope in his house, the frozen Pope.
Right.
And it originally looked like John Paul II.
Yeah.
But even then, I think we were afraid something was going to happen.
Yeah, he was ill, I think, at the time.
So we made it into
he's a Pope.
Yeah, we made it into a black-haired Pope. But then the other thing was we had the episode that was going to air with Homer and Bart thinking of turning Catholic, and that actually was the week that the Pope did die.
Yeah.
And so, you wrote that episode, Matt.
I did, yeah. It got pushed back like a month, right, because of that? Or
it got pushed back a month because of taste reasons, even though it had nothing to do with John Paul II.
Right.
But the night of the funeral on syndication, they had an old episode where John Paul II is at the Mayo Clinic, and they go, lay off the chili. So, you do all this, and I go, people don't distinguish between syndication and new episodes. So if they're going to, be horrified and vomit, then they already...
This one was a lot of fun to work on.
That's the job we all fear the most in the animation business, ending up as a sandwich.
I love the ultraviolet powder. It really exists.
Cool colors.
Yeah.
So was this painted this way, Steve, or
It was painted this way because it's supposed to be like black light.
It's a perfect effect. It's
Really
great.
nice. Nice choices.
Beautiful.
So it's not a different lighting, it's just a palette.
It's a palette.
Palette is a thing paint goes on. Another hard shot.
It actually is hard to get those poses just right.
Sure.
Because you can actually scrutinize them when they're not moving.
Yeah.
I love that Wiggum was going to shoot Bart in the head.
He did shoot Bart.
That's true.
More than once.
With everybody frozen in this, you should have been done in no time. You're not even moving.
No, I like Moe's mannequin leg with a nail in it.
One thing about these segments, too, is that they're almost always longer than we have time to air. They're the ones where I'm always trimming them just right up to air to get the most out of it without destroying any of the plot. It's always very difficult.
So I guess the family was chasing Bart. You must have brought him home.
Yeah.
3 different Picassos in that.
I like that he had to go to France to get all that
Oscar de la
stuff.
Hoya.
Yeah.
So this is the second American television show to have Dudley Hirschbach, Oscar de la Hoya, Jennifer Garner, and Jerry Lewis. We thought we were the first. It turned out there was a...
I realized after the fact there's no Pope that's that young. Usually the quality of the Pope is he's about 80. That was when they were still not a couple again.
Yeah.
Here we can learn watch repair in 8 one-hour lessons.
That was great.
That's what the guy did in the Twilight Zone episode, right?
Yeah.
I like the way
I don't remember how the
Bart's looking.
Twilight Zone episode ended.
It ended broken, but it was just he was in misery.
He was in that world forever.
Yeah.
Well, I think I saw the new Twilight Zone version of this story where the person had a time-freezing deal, but then a nuclear war was about to happen, so he froze the thing, and there just was a missile about to hit the world.
Yeah.
But they realized they could never unfreeze it because there was this missile about to blow everyone up, so the person had to live in freeze time forever.
Wow.
Those would have been useful when we were trying to come up with our ending. Like several takes, and then don't they just turn into superheroes?
Yes.
Yeah, that I guess doesn't
That
quite make
Karana
sense.
15 years later raises the question: how did they keep track of time?
And Milhouse is not just a retracing of Kirk. He is
I love that
still
drawing
Milhouse.
apart.
Yeah.
It's so lazy there.
Very lazy.
Come on, don't you get it? Bart stopped time with his magic stopwatch. Jealous much? I tinker with the fabric of existence.
Let the baby have her bottle.
Homer sure had those army men in his nose for a long time after he was unfrozen.
What happens if I press this button?
Oh, that's right.
TV Guide was a magazine that used to exist.
Okay, that's good. Stop there.
Great show.
Great way to get out of it.
Very fun.
Really well directed.
Thank you.
And well written.
And properly credited.
Every year it costs us an extra $150 million for the green font. Very expensive.
I'd like to add I had nothing whatsoever to do with the show.
If
I was
you
just
have
passing
good
by.
Halloween names for Dudley Hirschbach or Jennifer Garner, mail them to us now.
Deadly.
Deadly Hirschbach.
Deadly
Jennifer
Kurzbag.
Goyer.
How about Diddley Kurzbach?
Bride of Affleck.